Hi everybody and welcome to the Spike Feed, your leading source for Magic the Gathering content. I am Nathan, just your typical Spike, and today we're going to be playing round 2 with Esper Mentor. If you watched the first video, then you will know that I am kind of a Legacy newbie. I've played a ton of Modern, but I haven't played a ton of Legacy, and as a result, I'm kind of bad at this format, primarily because I don't know what a lot of the opposing decks are, which, Legacy like Modern, that's important information to have. And two, I just don't have practice with some of the cards. Like Brainstorm is shocking. You know, how the things that you need to do to make Brainstorm as good as it can be and when to Brainstorm. For example, in Modern, you just play out all of your lands. But one of the things that I've noticed in my playing of Legacy is you kind of want to keep a couple of lands if you can. You know, maybe you realize, hey, my deck, once it gets to 5, I don't want to play any more lands. And it's not that you don't want to play out the fetches to shuffle with Brainstorm. It's that you have to have stuff in your hand to put back with Brainstorm. And that's just something that, you know, these are things that come with time and experience in the format, lessons to be learned. And I'm here to learn lessons. This is like, you know, my buddy jokingly said, why don't you call your Legacy series NFL? Nate fails at Legacy, because I feel like I'm going to have to do a lot of failing to improve. And I have two options. I can do all of my failing behind closed doors by myself, or I can record it and bring you guys with me and get feedback from you, maybe provide some entertainment, maybe help teach you guys by showing you what I'm doing wrong. So I think on the question of whether to make the content or not, I'm definitely on the side of let's make it and learn together, and also benefit by having the community help teach me as well. So that's where we are. Now this video was technically supposed to be recorded yesterday, so I'm going to give you guys a 2-for-1 today. I'm going to post 2 Legacy videos on Wednesday because I didn't on Tuesday. But the reality is I had like 2 choices. I could spend some time with my wife and make her happy, or ditch her and play Magic. And the question is, it's not really a question. Definitely have to pick making sure my wife is happy. Okay, so let's jump into a game. I'll see you guys soon. I'm still waiting for my Legacy game to start, but I just want to point out that I fixed my layout. I had the Great Nate layout because I just made an Esper Control Modern video. But now we're on Spike Feed, bros. Gotta have the Spike Feed logo. Alright, see you guys in a second. Dear friends of the Great Nate YouTube channel, friends of the Spike Feed podcast, my apologies, I just recorded round 2, only to then realize I didn't actually record any of round 2, just the intro. So I'm going to do something I don't normally do, and I'm going to replay the match and do my best to narrate it for you. Okay, so I believe I started on the play, and had no idea what to do here. I kept this hand, I thought it was reasonable. Decided that the best course of action was to lead on a Thoughtseize so I could potentially clear the way for Deathrite Shaman and maybe even clear the way for like a turn 3 Jace. So we did that. This is what we saw, and I deliberated quite a while on what to take. I wasn't sure if it should be Brainstorm, Ponder, Stifle. I ended up taking Tarmogoyf because I thought, well, I'm probably the control deck in this matchup, so at least if I take his threat, he has ways to find more in Stifle and Brainstorm. But at least I can like make him spend time doing that. At least that was my thinking. I don't know that that was right. So that's what I did. Believe my opponent. He didn't do. No, he did Brainstorm or Ponder. Which this is one thing I don't know. Like maybe he had another way to shuffle. I can't remember. Maybe he did have 2 lands, but I've always sort of wondered, like, if you don't have a way to shuffle, then if you're gonna, but you have a Brainstorm and a Ponder, then I think you Brainstorm, because if you don't like what you see, then Ponder can shuffle for you. See, I'm like learning every small interaction on Legacy still. Okay, so he pondered and did things. And then I think I untapped, played a land, yeah, played Deathrite Shaman. And then, like, things started to go bad kind of immediately. That got killed. He played a Delver. And I think he had Stifle, so I didn't want to Brainstorm here. So I think what I did next was, yeah, I think I brainstormed, and it was like the worst brainstorm ever. I just brainstormed into a bunch of lands. So I put 2 lands back, shoveled them away with Flooded Strand, got a Tundra, and then decided to... No, I got an island and decided to go ahead and just try to draw into something with this Probe. Didn't actually draw into anything. No way to remove the Delver. This is something I've noticed playing Legacy. Like, my view's probably slanted because I often play Jeskai in Modern. But this is not going to be the first time that somebody's just played a Delver, and I'm like, well, I just can't do anything about that invincible creature now because I can't draw swords, and my deck only runs a few removal spells, and I just die to it. So this is when I realized that I was playing against Rug Delver, and things just went kind of from like bad to worse for me, unfortunately. I deliberated about what to do. Decided to try. I think I decided to try and... no, because I knew he still had a Stifle. Or I assumed he did. Maybe he shuffled it away. Or not a Stifle, but... for some reason I get Stifle and Daze confused. He had a Daze, at least I thought he did. And I was like, maybe I can go Snap Brainstorm. And here I kind of wanted to go like Snap, block Delver, Brainstorm, let him counter something, and then maybe clear the way for Jace. But my thought was, okay, well, if I go Snap, Caster Mage, in block Delver... then he can just stifle my Brainstorm, and he still has Force of Will for the Jace. But, you know, I don't know what you're supposed to do, because obviously he could have any number of different cards now after Brainstorming. But I just didn't see a way that I could, like, run out... Like, I didn't see a way that I could run him out of counters to resolve a Jace, and then I still had the Nimble Mongoose, so a Brainstorm with Jace would just die to Nimble Mongoose, so then I was thinking, well, I'd have to Fate Seal myself. I really had no idea what I should be doing. Now it could just be me, but because I'm not the greatest pilot, but and then I drew a land. Yeah, so I think I went for a Snap Brainstorm in which he just forced. Yeah. And I think his Delver still didn't flip. Yeah. Yeah, and this is where I was like, well, I'm just so dead. I'm just so dead. And by the way, guys, I'm sorry. I know this is not the most entertaining way to watch a match of Magic, but I am going to record a second Legacy video because I think I already mentioned it in the intro. I can't remember since I lost the whole video, but I didn't post this one yesterday. So I'm going to give you guys 2 today. Yeah, and so then I conceded. Now, as far as how I boarded, I think I want to say I took out a Jace. I want to say I took out a Jace, and I took out a Monastery Mentor because I felt like I was kind of more on the controlling plan. I brought in a Flusterstorm, a Zealous Persecution. I brought in a Supreme Verdict, and I brought in an Engineered Explosives. And I may have brought in a Vendilion Click. Magic Online, sometimes you're very annoying. No, I didn't bring that in. I think I went like this. And I brought this in. I think this is what I did here. And I think I took out... yeah, I took out all of my forces. So I brought in one other thing. Oh, no, I didn't. I think it was this 6 for this 6 here. So that's what I did. And then I played really badly again, so I'll pull that up. Okay, so I was on the play again. And my opening hand was this. And I decided, okay, I have a couple of lands. So my plan was to... I named Delver of Secrets, basically. Which turned out to be bad. Because I didn't hit anything. And it could be the Cabal Therapy is supposed to come out. And I know he's on Wasteland, so maybe I should have fetched Basics. Maybe that was another mistake. I should have gone, like, Swamp. So this is what he revealed. And then I just did something that even I think is a little odd. at this point, like, I didn't do it because of frustration. I guess I just did it because I was like, I just don't know what to do here. And what I think I should have done was what I had pondered doing here, which I think I should have done was I thought, well, maybe I'm just gonna probe for life, and if he doesn't have a way to counter, then I'm gonna fetch, which will put 1, 2, 3, 4 cards in the library. Go 5, 6 Tassiger. And what I ended up doing was much worse. I was like, well, let me just pass here and see what happens or something. So then, of course, he played a Wasteland at my upkeep and blew up my Underground Sea, which was disheartening. I guess what I was thinking is I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to run this Tassiger into the Force of Will so that I can resolve this at some point, and then, like, Flusterstorm his Bolt, or, like, take away his Bolt with another piece of hand disruption. So that was my plan. And then I was immediately regretful because I actually like realized that I only had 1 Underground Sea and it got shot. So now I couldn't cast Tassiger and have the blue mana that I needed. So I was also, like, additionally sad. So of course he forced, and then things just looked really bleak. Yeah. So I thought seize, and I think I take Sulfuric Vortex. Yeah, I did. He wasteland my other land, and then I think he even countered this Plunder, which I knew he had the red elemental blast, but I was like, well, I gotta, like, do things. I can't just sit here. And so then there was just still no justice in the world. And I thought, okay, well, he could have a Stifle. There's not much I can do about it. I need to fetch anyway. So I'll do it at his upkeep, so he has to use the mana on his turn. And then I think I commented on how maybe that didn't even really matter because everything in his deck is so cheap anyway. Right, so it got stifled. Finally, we started resolving spells. I put the swords on top, and I was like, I couldn't decide whether, and by the way, I couldn't decide whether I wanted to go Deathrite Swords, draw the land, or go Swords, Deathrite, draw the land. And I decided to draw the interaction because I felt like, well, he probably has a removal spell for his Deathrite Shaman, for our Deathrite Shaman. And also, like, I wanted to draw the swords, and hold on, what was my other reasoning for stacking it that way? Oh, right. It was because I couldn't get a scrubland. It was basically because I needed to get... The reason I put Deathrite was because this was a mana issue. I couldn't get scrubland, and I couldn't get Underground Sea, so that meant that I couldn't actually cast the Deathrite as well as get a white source. The only way I was going to be able to cast the Deathrite was if this got a swamp. But if he played a creature that I wanted to kill, I just decided that I more than the Deathrite, I wanted to be able to get a Tundra for swords, and then also turn on my, like, potentially Snapcaster Mage into oh, I gotta push this, like, Snapcaster Mage by having 2 blue sources. So I drew the swords. And so then actually the exact same thing the thing I was worried about happened, which was, okay, I know there's a Deathrite Shaman on top. If I get a black source, then I can't cast this. So I'm just, might as well shuffle it away, which is what I did. And I put a Tundra into play, and I was successful in getting rid of his Tarmogoyf. But unfortunately for me, instead of drawing something like a Brainstorm or a Ponder, I just drew the Deathrite Shaman that I had shuffled away somehow, so I couldn't cast it. You know, and it's funny because on my end, like, I know that I made a ton of mistakes, but I'm also, like, I just feel sort of, in some ways, like, mildly overwhelmed, because so many things are happening. Like, my mana's getting destroyed. I seem to have like awkward numbers of dual lands in my deck because I can't, like, if one gets wastelanded, then I have awkward colors. So yeah, and it, I know the deck has a lot of cantrips, but I also felt like in some ways like it's got all these 3 cost and 4 cost things. 20 lands seems like not enough. Maybe it is because I don't know. I think I ran 20 in my Jeskai Stoneblade deck, and I also ran 4 mana cost, but and this deck has even more cantrips, so I don't know. We went back and forth for a while. I think I eventually had to discard this Council's Judgment. Yeah, and I got the black. I thought he could have Stifle. I decided to fetch it as upkeep and get this black source. I knew I couldn't cast this, but I wasn't sure I was going to need it. I wanted to be able to start casting this and then these and this, and I thought if I cast this for a black, then I can generate more mana if it lives. Maybe I can protect it with a Fluster Storm. So here I was able to kill his Goyf. And I sort of made like this strange call here. I decided to Zealous Persecution because I was trying to remember how the Delver trigger works. Like, look at the top card of your library, you may reveal it. This is a triggered ability, so it has to go on the stack. But if I let him reveal, then obviously I just basically couldn't remember if I get to respond to the trigger or if Delver flips immediately. And I think the way it works is actually this trigger goes in the stack, and if I pass priority, then the trigger resolve, he reveals a card and Delver flips. So I could have done it on his turn. Either way, I don't think it would have made much of a difference. I decided to Zealous Persecution on my turn. Which, if all this was just another big mistake, and it wasn't a mistake that I necessarily, it wasn't a mistake that I knew I shouldn't make. It was really just like, I kind of made, not a hasty decision, but I was like, I didn't want to be wrong about the Delver trigger, and then like have him flip the Delver and have no way to kill it. And it was really just kind of self-doubt, I guess, because I was pretty confident that I could respond to the trigger immediately. But I guess the other upside is here I was able to, I knew that I could. The other thing I thought, now that I remember, is I'm pretty sure I knew he had a Spell Snare. I don't I think I knew that, but at the time my only thought was, well, if he has less mana now, and I have this spell, and I have this Fluster Storm. So, because if I had waited, if I had gone like Zealous Persecution and then he Spell Snared and then I went Fluster Storm, I think he just would have been able to pay for it. So Delver would have lived. But what turns out was probably even worse. He Winter Orbed me, and I basically just didn't do much in the game at this point. I untapped the Swamp so I could play Deathrite. And I was like, well, if I can get a Deathrite to live, then obviously I can make more mana. None of my Deathrites ever did live, though, as you will see. It kind of just was a rinse and repeat here. He didn't take anything with Click. I eventually just died to Click. And he killed my Deathrite Shaman. And that was essentially this game. Kind of like, I was at this point here where I was like, well, I'm at 5. So I could play a land and then Council's Judgment this, and then if I go to 3, then if I let him attack, I go to 2. But then I couldn't actually, like, untap and kill this. So since this was killing me, I decided what I needed to do was make some kind of attempt to kill the click. So at his upkeep, I went Snapcaster Mage into Swords, which got the Delver trigger got stifled. I mean, yeah, the Snapcaster trigger got stifled, and I lost to Vendilion Click, and that was unfortunately the game, and I conceded at that point. So some of my mistakes are super obvious, like the turn that I took a turn off. I could have played a Tassiger. I should have probed. If he didn't have a force, then I could have probably resolved the Tassiger. Why I took that turn off, I still don't know. If I had to explain it, I think I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I just sort of have this, like, not sure what to do. It's kind of amazing, like, just going between the two formats, like, it's amazing in, like, how not confident I feel with basically every single decision. And so I have to sit here and, like, perseverate on, like, every single line. I don't think I didn't feel this confused when I played Jeskai. Maybe that's because I'm just used to, like, having Snap Bolt be a thing. So I don't know. Maybe I'll, like, I've been working on Esper Stoneblade in paper, but maybe I'll try Jeskai Stoneblade in my next Legacy video series just to try something I might be a little bit more familiar with. So yeah. Like I said earlier, I'm gonna have another Legacy video coming for you guys today. So thanks for the support, and subscribe to the SpikeFeed YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Great Nate YouTube channel. Guys, thanks for watching. Draw well, smash face, and I will talk to you soon.